Hello, my name is Stephen from K-Scale Models, and today I'm doing a video about this, the Starwave carrier. So this, if you're unaware, is a remix of the Buster Rifle I made some time ago, so the Buster Rifle from Gundam Wing. So I've been remixing it and making some ships out of it. This is probably going to be the last ship I make out of this. I'm probably going to go and do something else for the rest of the ships that would need to be there for a fleet. So, yeah. Let's just go over this first. So I'll get these out of the way. And zoom in. A bit too much, it's getting a bit blurry. So, why is this going to be a fleet carrier? Well, as you can see here, it's got 4 launch bays on top and 4 on the bottom. So this is meant to be big, like a lot of carrier ops and flight ops all at once. It's got landing at the back for 2 craft, and they can just shoot off if they overrun. You've got a bunch of ways of getting craft down into the pressurized hangar bay, as well as at the back here you've got 2 big bay doors, so it can be loaded or unloaded quite quickly. So yeah, big ship, big amount of like flight capabilities within this. In addition, there is all these little turrets. So there's 6 on top, 4 on the bottom. So these are meant to be sort of last-ditch point defense, close-in weapon system. They're not meant to go on the offensive. If this carrier gets in range of an enemy ship, something's gone wrong. For the enemy ship, anyway. If this has got in range of the enemy ship, then yeah, something's gone wrong for it. You'll also notice that these little domes all around. This is meant to be the sort of sensor grid. So these are sort of tied into these point defense guns. These ones are just so the carrier can just generally see. Although when you're dealing with a carrier like this, what you'll also find is it will be having its own sort of AWACS and early warning systems out there, so it's not just limited to its own range. So this is something that you get wrong in sci-fi quite a lot. Battlestar Galactica gets this right with raptors flying around all over the place. But yeah, the carrier itself should not get snuck up on. There should be a perimeter of craft all around it. So that's going to be one of the next projects. But anyway, let's just go and do some beauty shots. So, to the side, the rear, the other side, and the front. So yeah, now you get an idea of what this is like. Now, I would take it off the base and show you the underside, but I glued the base on because it's a very heavy model and it was just falling over. Like, oh, yeah, the little Starbeams here, these tend to flop around all over the place. So yeah, I've just glued it to a stand so it doesn't come off. The stands I give a clearance of 0.2 millimeters, and I think that might actually be a bit excessive in this. Although this was printed in the Elegoo standard resin on my Mars Pro 3, and that's normally the sort of thing that you would do for a connection. So it's normally just, I think round connections tend to need a little less clearance than that. So anyway, now I've done that, I'm going to get these other craft right out the shot, and I'm going to bring in the paints I used. So, on my handy little holder, I have links for these in the description, we've got dark Prussian blue. So that's what the deck's painted as. Now, if I was being really like clever and good at painting, I'd have painted white lines in this deck. To just give it a sort of sense of this is a flight deck. But no, I didn't do that. The Prussian blue though, my thought behind it was it could be sort of like the Blue Ghost Lexington. So it's got a sort of distinctive blue flight deck. So yeah, that's what my thought was for that. Then we've got Sky Grey, so that's just the standard grey I've been using around the side. This is kind of why I wanted to use the blue as well. It kind of breaks up the fact that, yeah, we've just got basically grey everywhere. And that leads us on to the next one, Basalt Grey. So that was used in the sides here and the flight deck. So I used that to sort of give it a bit of contrast with the sky grey. So one of the tricks I've learned over the years is when you're doing custom paint jobs, don't just have it one colour. Make a slight variety in the colour, even if it's all greys, just little different changes in the tone of grey or whatever you're using, and that makes things pop out. Last thing I used was oil steel. So I used that for the guns, and you probably won't be able to see this. I'll just zoom in a little. The little sort of capacitors on the bottom, there's a lot more than there is in, say, this Starbeam. So yeah, that's partly, again, it's meant to be a fleet unit. It's supposed to have a lot of like fuel and other sort of range things. Oh, to give it range. So last thing is I gave it a sort of wash with this Tamiya panel line X in. So this is kind of just standard stuff. Plaster it on all the panel lines, and then go around and use it to sort of darken areas up. I actually used it all on the flight deck. I just basically covered the flight deck just to give it a slight bit of variation. And in addition to that, I did use some edge lines by just adding white to the paint. Now, I found the blue really took the white a lot better. You can actually see here it kind of took it a bit too well. Oh, let's zoom in. Yeah, so at the back end, you can see it took it a little too well. That's why it's a little lighter than it should be. I had to go back over it. But yeah, the grey, though, doesn't really... It's hard to tell. I'm going to try to zoom in and see if you can work out where the edge lines are. I think that's the closest the camera's going to get. But yeah, it's really difficult to see. I think that there's the most prominent line, and I had to go back in and repaint that one. So yeah, I'm still working with the Vallejo paints. I'm not quite an expert with them yet. I prefer my Tamiyas, but they are terrible for hand painting. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.